Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Tonight, our extra special guest is Chet Beauty King Bennett, kidney advocate, AKF Hero of Hope, founder of the C. Allen Foundation, the Kidney Cafe, the Kidney Cafe Garden, Kidney Conversations, the C. Allen Salons, past host of the C. Allen Morning Show, cosmetology and barbering teacher and successful entrepreneur. Wow. Chet's journey with kidney failure began in 2018 when he crashed into dialysis. Chet was fortunate enough to receive a living kidney donor transplant from a former cosmetology student in 2019 and is healthy 6 years post transplant. And when I'm asking questions later, I have a surprise for you guys about that donor. Chet is a very successful entrepreneur, radio host, chef, licensed cosmetology instructor, and hairstylist. He has established the C. Allen Foundation to raise awareness for funds for kidney patients in need by offering counseling, nutrition, toiletries, education, housing, transportation, and support. He has also founded the Kidney Cafe to help people with kidney disease and diabetes stay healthy with recipes and daily lifestyle maintenance. In 2021, he established the Kidney Cafe Garden, where he regularly cooks healthy meals for people in need. He is also the creator of Chef Bennett seasonings. Chet has done a tremendous job of giving back to his DC community. Quote, I will keep working to educate my local community about kidney disease, nutrition, and lifestyle changes to improve our health. I am deeply committed to making a change in this space, unquote. Chet has also started a YouTube show called Kidney Conversations that not only gives people an opportunity to share their kidney stories, but also educates the public about kidney disease and kidney-related issues. Chet is also the founder and owner of C. Allen Salons and the award-winning Bennett Career Institute, a cosmetology and barber school. He also founded the Bennett Babies Child Development Center. He was the host of the C. Allen Morning Show. Chet has also worked with the Department of, he's told me that he's been working since 1 o'clock this morning with the guys from the Department of Correction through his school, BCI at DOC, been cooking all day, this guy, teaching cosmetology and barbering to inmates. 45 people, I think he told me today, are in the process of qualifying. Please give a warm welcome to a true kidney warrior and hero, Mr. Chet Beauty King Bennett is here tonight. Chet, how you doing, buddy?
Well, Jim, I am excited to be here, and thank you so much for that amazing introduction.
Oh, no worries, my friend. No worries. Did I state everything correctly in the introduction?
Absolutely. We have 40 students at Department of Corrections. Not 45, but 40. But yeah, everything was perfect. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Tell us a little bit about where you grew up, your education and employment experiences.
Okay, very good. Well, again, my name is Chet Bennett. I go by C. Allen or Chef Bennett. I'm a native Washingtonian. I grew up in Northwest Washington, D.C., went to Virginia Union University for 2 years. I studied religion, and then I transferred to Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia. I graduated from Morehouse College in 1992, and then I came home and went to Howard University for my master's degree in 1994, and I completed that in 1996. So I have a master's degree in education, administration, and supervision.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about your experiences with kidney disease. When did you first notice the symptoms that led you to seek medical attention related to your diagnosis?
Well, Jim, it's a very interesting story. One day, I was sitting on the sofa laughing, watching television. My stomach started hurting. I said, that's weird. So I said, well, let me go to the doctor because it wouldn't stop hurting. So I went to, first I went to Georgetown to the emergency room. And the lady said to me that your kidneys are failing. No, your kidneys have failed. I said, huh? My kidneys? What do you mean? And so I was like, well, no, that can't be true. I'm gonna have to get a second opinion. Then I went to my doctor, and the doctor says, your kidneys have failed. You need to get on dialysis right away. They didn't want me to even leave the hospital. I said, no, 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 no. I said, I need a week. At least give me a week to really kind of understand what's really going on here. I'm 48, going on 49 years old, and I'm trying to understand, what do you mean I have kidney disease? I knew that I was overweight. I had been a diabetic for quite some time, and I've had high blood pressure since I was 26 years old. And we all know that those are the leading causes of kidney failure, but I'm not thinking that my kidneys have failed. I would have never thought that in a million years. So, Jim, I came home and I did what I'm assuming a lot of people do. I started researching, what is kidney disease? What do you mean kidney failure? What is dialysis? And, I always thought, my aunt was on dialysis, and I always said, well, only old people get on dialysis. I didn't know anything about it. And it so happened that I felt like I was bamboozled. I had no information about kidney disease. I didn't know anything about dialysis, any of that. And the short version is, after I was like devastated because I felt like it was a death sentence. After a week, and after I spoke to everyone, and I was doing all kinds of stuff from the research. But nevertheless, I went on ahead and I started dialysis a week later.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about your experiences with dialysis. I read that you wrote that you actually crashed into dialysis. Can you explain what occurred after you were diagnosed?
Yeah. So basically, once I was diagnosed, it was like, well, first of all, I just felt I went into a deep depression. And honestly speaking, I felt like a failure because I have been running beauty schools. I ran 5 beauty schools from age 22 until 26 until I opened my own. So I've been in the beauty industry as a leader for over 30 years. And for something like this to happen to me, I felt ashamed because for so many years, I would tell other people how to live a better life. And then all of a sudden I find myself in the chair. So when I say crash, I'm thinking like I was like thrown there because it was like a week ago I was doing wonderful. And now I'm sitting in a dialysis chair, and it was just very, very, very difficult for me. In the beginning, I had a terrible time when I was on dialysis. It was very difficult for me, Jim. Very difficult.
Okay. From what you're saying, I take that you were doing in-center hemodialysis at the time.
Absolutely. And the
Was
reason
this
why,
through
I'm
was
sorry.
this through a catheter in your chest?
Yes.
Heart
And
catheter, right?
yes. And
Okay,
so,
go ahead.
and it was to the point, Jim, where, I mean, my God, so many things happened. I lost my insurance. And right at the time when I lost my insurance, the catheter wasn't working. So I'm sitting in the chair. They telling me to lean this way, lean this way. We're trying to get a good clearance. And it wasn't happening. And guess what, Jim? It was during that time when if you had a preconditioned illness, you couldn't get insurance. No one would insure me, and I'm already in the dialysis chair. It was one of the worst experiences of my life. It wasn't until, and I'm just speeding it up because I went through so much there with an infection, so many things going on. It wasn't until I went to the clinic, and there was a young lady, and I don't share this often, but there was a young lady who I had trained during the continuing education unit class, and she worked there. And only thing I'm going to say is that I was able to get my catheter replaced. And one of the things that I like to tell people all the time, what about, because I was well known in the city, I had a talk show for over 10 years, so everyone knew me. But what about the person that no one knows and doesn't have insurance? And now they're fighting for their life. What are they going to do? So it was just an eye-opening experience for me in so many different levels.
Did you end up with a fistula or a graft, or were you always on with a catheter?
I'm glad that you asked that, Jim. I believe God from the very beginning. I'm a strong man of faith, and I said, this is temporary. They kept telling me, Chet, you need to get the fistula. I said, I'm not doing it because I'm going to get a donor. I just knew, Jim, that because of, like I said, my status in the city, that everyone in their grandmother was going to come out and give me a donor. You know, I just knew the world was going to come out and give me a donor. It didn't happen like that, but that's what I thought. So I never did that. And the 14 months that I was on dialysis, I never stepped not one foot in that shower, because when I realized that I had to go into treatment, everyone had their horrible stories about family members who lost their lives and all of that because water, you know, got into their catheter and all those kind of things. So I was just so afraid. And I wanted to do home, you know, I wanted to come home, but I have dogs. I have Cocker Spaniel, and let's hope they be good tonight during our interview and not try to join the conversation because they're walking around pacing the floor down. But anyway, and because of me having dogs, I just felt it would be unsanitary for me to try to do treatment at home. And my best friend had lost his mother doing treatment at home. So I just had so many horrible stories that I went directly into the center.
How would you describe the state of your health at the time that you were on dialysis?
Well, I think personally that it was more mental. I was a vegan, and I was doing well in reference to, you know, my weight and everything. I got my weight down. I was feeling really good. And then once I got on dialysis, things changed for me. I had a lot of problems eating because they kept trying to get me to eat meat opposed to like a chocolate shake or something like that, a protein shake. They were saying, no, you need to eat meat. So I had to go back to eating meat again. And I was 3 years not eating meat. So now I'm having all these difficulties trying to eat. And then with the depression, I just told a young lady today, doing my advocacy work, she just found out that she's that she had to go on dialysis. She'd been on dialysis for 3 weeks. I was just talking to her today, and I told her, like I'm telling your listeners, it starts in the mind. You got to get that mind right. You have to speak positivity in your mind, because if not, it can be a downward trial that some people just don't come back from. And I had to condition my mindset that things were going to work out in my favor. Even if I had to stay on dialysis, I had to change my mind and be more positive about the situation.
Okay. Approximately when were you listed for a kidney transplant?
So it's so funny that I'm glad you said that, because once I started back eating, I gained all this weight. And the doctor said to me, hey, why don't you went in? I went in 3 months after I was on dialysis. And they said, why don't you try to lose a little bit more weight for surgery and all of that, and then come back another 3 months. So it was about maybe 6 to 7 months before I was listed for a transplant.
All right. And where were you listed?
Okay. So at first, I was at Georgetown, and honestly speaking, and they have a wonderful program, but honestly speaking, it was very, very conservative, and I didn't feel comfortable. And one day on my talk show, I used my platform to try to get as much knowledge as possible. So I asked for a kidney transplant doctor to come on the air. And it so happened that we booked Dr. Melanson at GW. And when Dr. Melanson came on the air, and this is a true story, Jim, I told him, I said I had 100 questions from the audience. I'm sorry, 50 questions from the audience. But guess what, Jim? I was the audience. I had wrote 50 questions of what I wanted to get from this doctor. He answered all the questions and he made me feel so comfortable. And he was telling me, he was saying, man, if you was at GW, we probably would have, you probably would have been transplanted by now, all that kind of stuff. So I went to GW and that's where it happened. It happened at GW. It was a great experience.
Okay, just for our folks that are outside of Washington, D.C., GW, you're talking about George Washington Institute, correct?
George Washington University, yes.
Okay.
First, it was Georgetown University, and then I went to George Washington University. But I was also on the list at it was University of Maryland in Baltimore. I was on the list there, and I got on the list in Richmond, Virginia, because people in the center were saying that in Richmond and in Baltimore, you may have a better chance than Washington, D.C. So I tried to get listed as many places as possible.
So there were multiple listings then?
Yes, sir.
That's something that in our program, we always recommend to the members of our audience that are looking for a kidney transplant is to multiple list.
Absolutely.
I understand that you received a living donor transplant in 2019. Can you talk to us about who was your living donor?
Yeah, and I shared that story today as well. So I assumed, Jim, that a family member was going to come through because I have a lot of nieces and nephews. My niece, she wanted to get pregnant when she got married, so she had a lot of questions for the doctor. My nephew, no one, I had no one. My brother is 1 year older than me. He went, they say he was a pre-diabetic. A lot of my family members are overweight, so a lot of them just did not qualify. And it hit me, Jim. I sat in that chair and I said, I'm never going to get a donor. So I got on Facebook. And keep in mind, I told you I was ashamed. I didn't want nobody to know what was going on. I wasn't telling anyone. When I realized that a donor wasn't coming as soon as I thought, I got on Facebook and I started in the dialysis chair, telling them, showing them the machine and telling them that I'm on dialysis and I want a donor. So many people came out, Jim, and said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I will call. I was still at Georgetown. I will call them every week. Did anybody come in for me? Did anybody call about me? No, no, no. The answer was always no. And it put me into a deeper depression. One day, my salon manager on Florida Avenue is a young lady that came to my beauty school when she was 19, single parent, and she became a mentee. And she was my assistant. And I groomed her and I worked with her. And she became the manager of my first salon. She called me one day and she said, God said, I'm going to be the donor. At that time, Jim, so many people told me that they were going to be the donor. I said, okay, sweetie, thank you. I said, well, God didn't tell me. He told you, but he didn't tell me. So I just kept moving on. One day she called me on the phone and she said to me, she says, guess what? She called me CA for Sea Island. She said, guess what, CA? I'm the donor. It was someone, Jim, that had been in my life for over 20 years, someone that I had mentored, someone that I had worked with for so long and worked side by side with her and had no clue that she would be the living donor.
You're talking about Ancia Williams?
Dr. Acia Williams, that's correct.
All right. I just want to let people know, if you go to my Facebook page, Jim Myers, Myers, this broadcast is pinned to the top of that Facebook page. In the comments to the broadcast, all of my research is there, all the links that are there. If you go to the link posted by CNN, you'll see that the story of Chet's transplant, which is an amazing recitation of that story. So you might want to check that out. And you received your kidney transplant at GW. This was April 9th of 2019, correct?
That's correct.
Tell us a little bit about the day of your transplant. What happened?
Okay. So the day of the transplant, we both had to get to the hospital very early. And it was so funny because when I got to the hospital, none of my family was there. And I'm the youngest of 6, and I have a huge family. And I looked over in Dr. Acia area. She had family, church members. It was so many people over there. And then on my side, Jim, it was me. So the day of the transplant, I felt, well, first of all, I was extremely nervous. My assistant at the time was telling me not to do it. He said, I have a funny feeling. I don't think that you need to do this. So I had all kinds of stuff going in my head. And then as they prepped me for surgery, I looked up, here comes my mother and sister. And then right before surgery, my entire family was there. And so the day of, I was a little nervous. I was, but I really wanted it really, really bad. I really, really wanted it.
Excellent. Excellent. Were there any issues or complications with your transplant?
Believe it or not, knock on wood, 6 years coming up, not one issue. My numbers have been great. I haven't had one issue with the transplant, not one issue. And I thank God for that.
I read in that CNN article, and we have floating by in the banners your YouTube video on the subject. I read that you actually gave Ansia her own hair salon. Is that true?
And it's so funny, Jim, that we went viral doing that. So what happened was AC and I was in recovery. So we did recovery together. She had to have someone, to take care of her during recovery. And so I went out and bought her a bed, and I put it right downstairs in my living room. And I was on the sofa and she was on the bed, and we recovered together. So one day we were sitting on the sofa, and I leaned over to her and I said, you need to get ready. I'm going to give you my salon. She always wanted to be a salon owner, but wasn't capable of doing it. And she said, huh? I said, yeah, it's time. I said, you can't pay Jim you can't pay anyone for a transplant, anything like that. To me, it was my honor and it was my duty to do that for her because of her giving me life and because she earned it and she was well deserving. And so when that happened, Jim, it was unbelievable how CNN, Lester Holt, ABC News, all the local channels, we were everywhere. Even D.L. Hughley he had reposted the story and said whenever he come to DC, he want us at his show. I mean, it was just unbelievable in reference to all the press that we received from me giving me the kidney and me giving her the salon. Unbelievable.
And just so folks know, the things that Chet's referencing, all of those links are in the comments to the broadcast that are pinned to the top of my Facebook page. So if you want to drill down a little bit and learn a little bit more, that's a good place to start. How has your health been since the time of the transplant?
It's been great. I haven't had any issues. I'm on a new diabetes medicine, Monjuro, and that has been amazing for me. I lost a lot of weight. I feel amazing. I haven't had really any issues at all. I mean, I feel great. Oh, I'm sorry, Jim. One thing. In July of last year, I had a terrible bout with sciatic nerve pain. And I was out I was out for the rest of the year because of my back. That was the worst experience I ever had in my life. I've never had back pains before, and not to be able to walk because I love cooking. It was my passion. 4th of July, I cooked 10 hours straight, marinating food, all of that. I usually have a big foundation party for the 4th of July. And the night of the 4th of July, after I cooked all that food up 10 hours, I couldn't walk. I sat down and I couldn't walk. And it was like that all the way. I had to cancel. I had a Berlin trip in August for my birthday. I had to cancel that. And I was pretty much out until almost the end of the year. I mean, it was severe.
Did you have surgery? Were you given medication?
Well,
How was it resolved?
given medication, physical therapy, and one thing that really worked well for me was the shot in my lower back. The shot in my lower back really, really, really helped out, and it gave me the opportunity to start to go to physical therapy. And now what I do is I still have problems. However, I do a lot of stretching. I stretch 30 minutes in the morning and 30 minutes at night, and that has done me. I don't even take the medicine anymore. As long as I stretch, I'm okay.
Well, in addition, Chet, to your being a successful entrepreneur, radio host, chef, licensed cosmetology instructor, hairstylist, you are also an exceptional kidney advocate. I'd like to ask you about your kidney advocacy. Can you tell us about your kidney advocacy activities? What sorts of things have you done to help advocate for your fellow patients?
Well, that's something that I believe that I do every single day. Well, one, it starts with the Chetbeauyking seasonings. We do so many campaigns. We just did one with Georgetown University, and it was called Trimming the Risk, where we talked about using our barbershops and hair salons to talk about blood pressure, high blood pressure, and which is one of the leading causes of kidney failure. We do campaign. We have a campaign starting on tomorrow because, you know, it's Kidney Awareness Month starting tomorrow. So we have a campaign there. We do a lot, Jim, of classes for people who are on dialysis, teaching them how to cook. And when we do that, we go into empowering sessions. So we have a slew of kidney conversations, tapings. We have not aired any of them yet. We're going through a lot of editing. I'm doing something new with that brand on YouTube. So it's everything from our campaigns, everything from we go into the elementary schools and junior high schools, and we bring them to the Kidney Cafe garden. And we go over, you know, some of the seasonings and herbs that we make, that we grow in the garden, and we show them how we create seasonings that can help them in reference to keeping that pressure down. And then most importantly, I'm really grateful for AKF, because AKF will call me in a minute about going on the Capitol and other places, you know, to meet with my Congresswoman, Eleanor Holmes Norton, who I already, you know, she comes into my salon for services. So I already know her, but it's still, you know, it's great to just, you know, put on that kidney hat and just, you know, here's a big thing. I own a beauty school, and I have the salon suites that I own has 35 entrepreneurs. So what we do is we try to, so if you got 35 entrepreneurs, imagine how many people coming in and out of those doors. So we make sure that as soon as you come in the door, there's kidney awareness information there. You know what I'm saying? So in our men's grooming shop, what we do is for the men on U Street in our men's grooming shop, we do a lot of things like their pedicures and all of that, to try to not only make them feel good, but also we go into how to take care of their body. Because, you know, when you're on dialysis, you get very dry, you begin to itch, you know, you have a lot of scaly skin. So we like to make sure that we pamper the people as well, and not just on Mother's Day and Father's Day, but all throughout the year.
Wow. Wow. Let's talk a little bit about the AKF and your Hero of Hope Award. Can you tell us a little bit about that? I understand you're the 2025 winner.
The 2024 Hero of Hope Award was the highlight of my entire life. And the reason why I say that is because not only did they treat me exceptionally well, it was an emotional time, because what happens, Jim, is a lot of times when we talk about kidney disease, if you're not personally affected or know someone personally affected, a lot of people just don't care. And a lot of it has to do with lack of knowledge. I had no knowledge of it. So when we go out to try to raise money and do things on the street and all of that, a lot of times we're overlooked because no one wants to talk about kidney disease. What is kidney disease? I did a show where I asked people up and down the street, tell me about kidney disease. How do you get kidney disease? The answers that was coming from them was unbelievable. It made no sense that there was so much lack of knowledge. So Jim, and so for them to call me and say, you won the Hero of Hope, and they came out, they followed me at all of my locations and all the things that I do. And I was so grateful because it made me realize that, you know, your work is not in vain, because a lot of things that we do is not, it becomes like a thankless career. You know, no one cares about it. I just feel like that because so many people have no knowledge. So my job is to constantly bring awareness and knowledge. And Jim, there's not a week that go by that someone doesn't call me from the church, a friend of a friend, someone who's seen me on a TV show and say, I just realized I have kidney disease. What do I do? I hit that call today. What do I do? Sure. And so I was grateful that an organization took time out of all the people that's out there doing great things. They took their time to say, we want to honor you. And it meant the world to me. And it still does. As soon as you come to my house, on top of my mantle is the Hero of Hope Award, which is the conversation piece. What is that, Chet? Oh, well, let me tell you what happened, you know.
And I want to give a shout out, Chet, to our friend Vaughn Reynolds, who recommended you. He's been on the broadcast. Great guy. And just want to say hello if you're out there, Vaughn.
Vaughn Reynolds has been a super angel for the C. Allen Foundation. And I'm just praying that, you know, I can continue to try to get things together so I can get to it. It's hard a lot of times to get with Vaughn, a lot of people, because I got so much going on. But Vaughn is just a phone call away, and he's extremely supportive in everything. And when I found out, I don't know if I should tell the story, but the lady said, well, I don't know if you know this, but it was Vaughn Reynolds who nominated you. And that really meant so much to me. And I'm so appreciative of Vaughn. I had him on my talk show. We had him over to school. We awarded him this Kidney Christmas because he's amazing. And we're putting him on our foundation board. I mean, he's fantastic.
Excellent. Excellent. Let's talk about the C. Allen Foundation. When was it established?
So the C. Allen Foundation, and once I realized I had kidney disease, I had to come up with something. So in 2018, we started the C. Allen Foundation. I said, Jim, every issue that I have as a business owner, I want to come up with solutions. So the foundation started with, I was already making body butters many, many years in the past, but I started researching what can I do to get rid of the itching? And we came out with a line just for dialysis warriors. It went from that to when I was in the dialysis chair, Jim, my mother had cut up a lot of sweatshirts to get to my port, because other than that, I was doing like this. This is the port. This is what I was doing. I went into the lab and I created a port shirt because I wanted, you know, I'm in the beauty fashion industry, so I wanted something stylish. You know, if you're gonna be in the chair, you might as well look like something. So I wanted something stylish, so we created port shirts. And I can just go on and on. That's when the talk show happened. That's when Chetbeauyking. So the foundation started. So it all started out with me trying to come up with a cure or a solution to every problem I had. So when someone else come to me and say, I'm diagnosed, they get a package from the C. Allen Foundation, which is for free, which is a port shirt, which are the seasonings, which is the body butters, you know what I'm saying, which is the, you know, everything from the mask. We do all of that for them because I know what I went through. And I wouldn't want people to go through the same things I did. And that's how the C. Allen Foundation was created. We started out with toiletries and all of that, but it's basically about nutrition and education, motivation. You know, I was telling Vaughn we wanted him over the men's department because, you know, Jim, we have a lot of brothers who have male issues and problems and don't know who to talk to about it when they're on dialysis. You know, and I didn't realize, Jim, that so many brothers refuse to take the blood pressure medicine because of certain reactions that they would have with the blood pressure medicines, and because they still want to be able to perform and take care of their, a significant other and everything. So it's so many conversations come in with that, because I tell people my biggest mantra is becoming your own advocate. You have to worry about you first, and everybody else will understand. And if they don't understand, then you know what you need to do.
Okay. Well, I read a list earlier: counseling, nutrition, toiletries, education, housing, transportation, and support. Would those all be a fair statement of activities that the foundation performs?
Except housing. What happened was, in the beginning, and it became too much of a problem, honestly, but in the beginning, I found myself paying people rent. And then it got to the point, Jim, I couldn't pay my own rent. So I had to back away from that. And we're still working on the transitional home. What I want to do is, for people who are transplanted, I would like for them to come to the Seattle Foundation house for a couple of weeks until they get it together, because Dr. Acia had nowhere to go. So I brought her in with me. So who else is getting the train, and who else is going to be either a donor or recipient and may not have no one to take care of them for those couple of weeks. So it was my mother and sister took care of me and Dr. Acia during that time. So I said, well, Dr. A is in this situation and she did a wonderful thing for me. Who else is in that situation and really don't have anybody to take care of them after that good deed? So that's what the transitional home is about. And that's what we're working on now.
Excellent. Excellent. You mentioned earlier some of the events that are involved with the foundation. Are there things that you've done recently and you intend to do in the near future that you can tell us about?
Well, everyone knows about the Kidney Christmas. That is my big fundraiser. The quick story with that is, I was in a dialysis chair Christmas Eve, and the dietitian came around with candy. I threw the candy on the floor, very disrespectful, because I was depressed, because I was angry. Being a CEO for so long, you know what that means. You take care of your whole family. Everyone is relying on you. I remember, Jim, and I'm not bragging or anything, but I remember buying 4 and 5 pair of red bottoms, Louboutin shoes, and all of that, because I don't know what I was thinking about, but I was just constantly just doing stuff for my family and so many people. And it wasn't until I became sick that I realized, and again, I ain't talking about nobody, but I realized who's really there for you. So when you're well, you have hundreds of friends and family all around you. But then when you're sick, who's there that's going to take care of you? Who's there? It was actually my assistant who would pick me up from dialysis when I didn't drive. Sometimes had to carry me up the steps because I was so weak. So it was one of those situations where I end up having to be, I'm not going to say a stranger because he was a former student, but it ended up being someone outside of the family who was there for me on a day-to-day basis. Now, my family loved me and all of that, but we have the kind of family, Jim, that we don't talk about things. So I can remember going to cookouts and all of that. I'm lying on the sofa because, of course, I'm weak and nobody's saying anything. We're not addressing kidney disease. It's like an elephant in the room. Nobody's saying anything, to the point where I stopped going to events because I didn't want people to feel sorry for me, because me being the leader of the family, and now I'm the weakest of the family. So the Kidney Christmas was something that I said to God, if you get me out of this, that I'm going to do something, because I don't want people to be in the situation I'm in. So the Kidney Christmas is where we bless the dialysis warriors. We have over 100 in the auditorium. We have everything from big screen TVs to laptops, things that they can bring to dialysis with them, from blankets to socks to all kinds of things. And that's one of the biggest things that we do. But we do a lot of cooking classes and cooking series for seniors and all of that, so they can have a better understanding. And we got something big that's coming out that I'm not going to share it yet. We're not going to reveal it on Jim Maya's show. We're going to reveal it on the Allen show, and then we'll tell you all about it. But I got something major coming up, Jim, that we're going to be launching soon.
Excellent. I'll make sure I check that out.
Yes,
And
sir.
do me a favor when you're ready, Chet. Send me the blurb from Facebook on that, and I'll make sure I pass that around a little bit.
I appreciate that.
No, no worries. Talk to us a little bit about the Kidney Cafe and the Kidney Cafe Garden. What goes on with all that?
All right. Well, thank you, Jim. I started working at I received a contract at Access Housing, which is the homeless shelter for veterans in Washington, D.C. I started cooking low sodium, kidney friendly meals for them. And they were so impressed that they had a garden in the back, and they gave me that space to do a kidney cafe garden. So we would grow fruits and vegetables and herbs and bring them right in and prepare them and give those to our homeless veterans. And it got to the point where I said, you know what? I want to do seasonings too. So it's not a large garden, but it's enough for us to have an abundance of things that we do. And it happened to be in Ward 8, which is the most vulnerable ward in the city of Washington, D.C., the most poorest area of the city, is where we actually grow sustainable foods that we can be able to give to the community. So that's where the kidney cafe garden came in. The cafe, what I did, Jim, was I have an investor, Jim, that is interested in doing kidney cafes around the country. What we did was we did our research on all the high mortality rates of kidney disease from Texas, West Virginia, Alabama, Mississippi, all those places. And what the investor said to me was, why don't you open up one on your campus, run the numbers, perfect it, do what you need to do. And then as it becomes successful, we can take it around the country. So last year, 2024, we received a grant from the mayor's office to renovate the kitchen. And that's what we're in the process of doing now. We're renovating the kitchen and cafe so we can open to the public. We was just open to our contracts, the students and staff in the building, and kidney warriors. Now we'll be able to open up to the general public. And so we're really excited about that.
I read something about a cooking tour. Is that what you're speaking about when you talk about different spots in the United States?
No. We're talking about actually brick and mortar kidney cafes, brick and mortar, like a Starbucks or something of that nature. So people across the country, not just people with kidney disease, but people who want to wash their phosphorus, their potassium, their sodium, to be able to come in and get meals that we have prepared with not only myself, but our dietitian, our nutritionist, all of that. It's a team of us who come together to create some awesome meals that I produce and put out there. With the tour, it's something that I have presented to different agencies. I'm still looking for funding for that, to be able to take kind of like what I do with the Kidney Christmas and mix it with the Pampering experience and take this across the country, because we believe in becoming your own advocate. So what I want to do is go to different states, motivate them, and bring people that's going to draw out a crowd, do some pampering, do some classes, do some education. And then that evening, we'll have like a nice program kind of thing. And that's something that I really want to do, because I believe, Jim, that someone is going to have to be able to raise the mantle, not just the National Kidney Foundation and AKF, but I believe that some of our grassroots organizations need to come together, because what's important is we learn better from people who look like us, who can speak our language, so we can really understand. A lot of people don't want to hear from doctors, especially Black folk. A lot of them don't even trust doctors. So it's important to find someone that can speak your language, and then maybe it'll make a big difference in their life.
Excellent. Talk to us about Chef Bennett seasonings. What is that all about?
So Chef Bennett seasonings, Jim, and thank you again. Chef Bennett seasonings is when I first was diagnosed with kidney failure and I had problems eating. And I had to figure out how to keep my pressure down, because remember now, I'm trying to keep this new kidney. And I had to figure out how am I going to do those things. So what I started doing, Jim, was I started researching. I bought some dehydrators. I went into the lab. And what I did, Jim, was all of the seasonings that I love the most, which was really high in sodium, I tried to mimic them. So a good example, my Catch the Bait seafood mix is the high sodium packet that I would get from the wharf for my crabs that I love so much, because I love crabs. I took that and I mimicked that with low to no sodium at all, and it almost tastes identical to it. One of the ingredients, Jim, I don't mind telling the people, I dehydrate lemon and lime peels because it's acidity, and when you dehydrate them and put them in a grinder, it looks just like salt, and it has a salt-like taste to it. So that's one of the things that I use.
Excellent. Talk to us about your YouTube show, Kidney Conversations. What is that all about?
So Kidney Conversations is on hiatus right now because we're doing a whole new set. We're building a whole new set. We've been doing a lot of shows so we can just like bomb everybody, video bomb everybody with so many issues and episodes at one time. So that's one of our strategies. However, Kidney Conversations is me bringing everyday people on the show and listening to their kidney stories, because we have to, that's why I commend you. It has to be more people, more Jim Myers out there, giving everybody an opportunity, serious, to tell their story. The young lady, Gail, I was on the phone with today, she says, I don't know where to go. I don't know who to talk to. I don't know anything about it. There has to be more Jim Myers out here to say, hey, this is what we're doing, and bring on amazing people that can share their story, because you never know, Jim. One word of advice, one sentence, one line that one of your guests have said could have changed someone's life. And that's through your platform.
Excellent. Excellent. Talk to us about C. Allen Salons. What is that all about? How many salons are we talking about, Chet?
Okay, thank you, Jim. At one time, I had a total of 6 salons. And what I did, Jim, was I had leases at these places. Once the 5-year lease went up, I'm not going to say sold, because I charged them very minimal, but I gave the salon to the managers because I groomed them to have their own business. So I said, if you work for me 5 years as the manager, when it's time to me to renew the lease, it will be your salon. So now I'm down to 3 salons. I have the C. Allen Salon Suites, 2350 Washington Place, Northeast. I have the C. Allen Men's Grooming Salon at 923 U Street, 2 levels. And then we have the C. Allen Signature Salon at 705 Florida Avenue. And you know, the Bennett Career Institute has a student salon in there with 47 stations at the school. And that's where we mainly service all of our senior population.
Talk to us a little bit about the C. Allen Morning Show. What was that show all about?
Well, the C. Allen Morning Show, I came on right after Tom Joyner. Every Monday, hundreds of thousands of listeners, because I had did it for about 12, 13 years. And it started out with me doing everything from hot topics to mainly a lot of motivational, educational shows. And this was before the kidney disease happened. Once the kidney disease happened, then I kind of curtailed most of that towards health and health education. But the C. Allen Morning Show, we dealt with a lot of hot topics, a lot of current events, especially in the beauty industry, of course. And we have built a great following. That's the reason why, Jim, when I found out I had kidney disease, I was like, oh, I'll get a donut in a second, because I had so many listeners at the time, until I realized that didn't happen. But yeah, the C. Allen Morning Show was something that because I love to talk. So the C. Allen Morning Show was something near and dear to me. What happened was the only reason why I stopped, the only reason why is because when COVID hit, they would not let us in the studio. And then when it was time for us to go back in the studio, they had changed the format. And the lady in front of me, so Tom Joyner had retired. So the new person was in my booth. She got off the air at 9:57. I get on at 10 o'clock. It was too much for me.
Okay.
I had 3 minutes, Jim, 3 minutes to get in that seat and do everything we needed to do before we went live on the air. It was impossible.
Wow. Let's talk about some of your cosmetology and barbering work. When did you first start with that, and how did it evolve into such a large business?
Thank you for asking, Jim. When I came home, well, I got in trouble in Atlanta. I had just graduated from college. I was terrible. I was a mess. There was a knock on the door, and it was my mother, a U-Haul truck, and my stepfather and my godfather. Without any warning or notice, they came to Atlanta, Georgia, and they took me home. They brought me back to Washington. I couldn't find a job, Jim, because my degree was in religion, and because I thought I was going to be a preacher. So I couldn't find a regular job. And the whole time I was at Morehouse College, I was in the financial aid department. So I saw an ad in the paper for a financial aid assistant at a beauty school. I said, beauty school? People go to beauty school? I mean, there's a school that people go to do hair. I just thought people did hair. I went in there. The man offered me the job. It was $7 an hour. I had friends getting $70,000 job offers from Morehouse College. You know, Morehouse, where Martin Luther King, all the great folks went. And my pastor said, Chet, take the job because you don't know what God has in store. I took the job at $7 an hour in August of 1992. In November of 1992, I was promoted to director of admissions. In 1994, I was running his 5 beauty schools. I was going every day to a different school: Petersburg, Virginia, Richmond, Fredericksburg, Annapolis, and DC. When those schools, and I enrolled at Howard University in my master's. In 1996, I'm thinking I'm going back to Atlanta because it was the year of the Olympics. I graduated from college. I was unemployed because those schools closed down. It so happened that my mother had won a lawsuit, the first African-American to win a lawsuit against Alan Greenspan, the Federal Reserve Board of Governors, for racial discrimination. With that little money, well, back up, quick story. I'm on the track. God is saying, now is the time. I'm not understanding any of this. Now is the time. Now is the time. I got a call from DC government saying, hey, the school closed down. The students are saying they want you to open up a school because they trust you, they believe you, and you was the school administrator. Would you come in and open the school? I said, no way, I'm moving to Atlanta. Something kept saying, now is the time. A friend of mine called me from London, England, stockbroker. We were at the Morehouse together. I said, Kenny, would you believe they're asking me to open up a beauty school? Kenny said to me, well, Chet, if there was ever time, now is the time. The same words that kept coming to me. And then that is when August of 1996, I opened the Bennett Beauty Institute. And then in January, I was the National Cosmetology Association president. And the lady that owned all the hair cutteries, Ann Ratner, said to me, if you want to know your business, you need to go to school. So I enrolled in my own program and was able to get my cosmetology license and my instructor's license in DC and Virginia, and the rest is history.
Wow. Wow. What is the award-winning Bennett Career Institute all about? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Bennett Career Institute, it was Bennett Beauty Institute, but Bennett Career Institute is a nationally accredited cosmetology and barber school, esthetician, makeup artistry, nail technology. We have a campus at 700 Monroe Street. It takes up a whole block. It's a 30,000 square foot facility, and I do own the building in the heart of Catholic University. It's directly in front of the entrance to Catholic University. I'm the only Black owner in that entire neighborhood, and I'm right next door to the Brooklyn Metro Station. That's too long of a blessing of a story to let you know that, Jim. And now Trader Joe's is coming directly across the street from me. So it's just too much of a blessing. I have a 200-seat auditorium. We have the daycare in the basement, Bennett Babies Child Development Center 1 and 2, which is also an accredited daycare center. All of that happened out of me birthing the Now Is the Time. And that started Bennett Beauty. And then when I moved to my own campus, I changed it to Bennett Career Institute because I was thinking of opening up. Oh, and because we started out with culinary arts and all of that. So I wanted to change the beauty and do career because we started adding other programs.
How did the Bennett Baby Child Development Center start?
It started, Jim, because we had so many students saying, Mr. Bennett, I can't come to school because I don't have child care. That's how it started.
So your students are able to use this to help take care of their children while they're being educated and learning.
My dream came true, Jim. They come in the morning, drop their kids off downstairs. They come upstairs and get an award-winning education, go back downstairs, get their children, and go home.
Wow. Talk to us about your work with the Department of Corrections and the BCI at DOC school. What goes on with that?
In 1998, before I became accredited, in 1998, I took a job teaching cosmetology and barbering. From that, I've been there now 27 years. Last year of June, we was awarded an opportunity, a contract from Department of Corrections to do an apprenticeship program. So I entitled it BCI at DOC. It's an award-winning program, Jim. Today, we had our first quarter recognition. We have 40 students, 20 cosmetology and 20 barber students. All of them are incarcerated. We train them. They are getting their hours towards licensure right there in the facility. We had someone today was honored with 378 hours that they have earned so far towards their license. And we've actually had the state board president there today as one of the speakers, along with a representative from the mayor's office. This is my new joy and passion, to be able to train people and give them another opportunity. When they come out, they go to the Ready Center for 3 months just to make sure that, we can on through the kinks. And then they come to the Bennett Career Institute to finish and get licensed. And we are the official testing site for the state board.
Wow. You are a generous guy. Wow. Before we conclude the broadcast tonight, Chet, do you have any final statements that you wish to make to our audience?
I want to compel you, for those who are on dialysis, those of you like me that have kidney failure, that is not a death sentence. I want you to start in your mind to understand that anything in life that you want to do, you still can do it. We're not letting our circumstance deter us from reaching our goals. I would tell each and every one of you to continue your dreams. A lot of people think that once they're on dialysis, they can't do the things that you can do. Whatever you want to do, once you put your mind to it, it's about moderation. I have my assistant and several people that work in my office are all in treatment. They all go to dialysis and they come to work every single day. They leave early for training. And I did that so they can have some normalcy in life, because I had it, because I own the business. I want them to have it as well. So I tell you that it starts in your mind. Get your mind right. Think positive thoughts and continue to see what else that you can do to be a blessing also to other people. Most importantly, become your own advocate. You should know what's going on in that dialysis chair. You should know when they bring a gallon of water over there. You should know if you're starting to cramp. You should know if all of a sudden they're pulling off too much fluid. You have to become your own advocate. And I want to thank you, Jim Myers. I follow you for all the wonderful things that you do to help our community. Thank you.
Oh, that's great. I hope I get a chance to see you and meet you in May when the ACAF is doing their summit in DC. So got my fingers crossed I'm going to get an invite.
Yes.
So at any rate, Chet, what a terrific job that you did tonight. I'm very sure that raised some awareness and educated some people, and I really appreciate you taking. I know you're a busy guy. I really appreciate you taking time to come on and talk with us. I have a few things I have to button up with my audience. I'm going to let you go. I know you're busy, and I will be publishing the replay. I'll get you the links to that so you can share it as well.
Thank you, Jim. And thank you all you guys for for tuning in and listening. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, that's our broadcast for this evening. Next week, March 7th, is an off week for us. Your Uncle Jim needs to catch his breath. So, but we're back again on the 14th of March with Yasina Gutierrez. She is an advocate with the National Kidney Foundation, somebody I met last year. We're going to talk to her about her advocacy work. Should be interesting, as always. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I particularly want to thank Chet. What a tremendous job that he did tonight. And I will see everybody on the 14th. Have a great couple of weeks.